And in light of the recent tragic car ramming attack at the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival in Vancouver, which claimed the lives of at least 11 people, we speak with Toronto-based journalist Isabelle Docto about the latest updates. Good evening from Manila, and welcome to the big story.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, it was really your piece, which came a day after the incident, the tragic incident that led us to interview you. How do you assess so far the Filipino community coping with this tragedy?
Yeah, so across Canada, the Filipino-Canadian community is experiencing immense grief and pain. I attended a vigil in Toronto last night where hundreds of people from the community showed up. There are people like me who live away from their families in Vancouver, felt a sense of dread when trying to contact their loved ones to see if they were alive or okay. One Filipino business owner shared his story about witnessing the attack. He had a booth at the festival and described through tears, seeing the truck or the car ram into the bodies, and accelerating and then running over more. He said paramedics even used his table as a stretcher for one of the victims. And, a lot of people are feeling survivor's guilt. Like he said that he was speaking with a customer earlier that day that later he found out had been killed. And he said he wished he had taken her aside and just chatted with her all day to keep her away from what was about to happen.
Well, in this tragedy, perhaps the Filipino community can emerge stronger, perhaps, or in helping each other and comforting each other. What do you think? Will that take some time?
Yeah, so I think right now, there's no clear answer to that question because the incident is so fresh.
Fresh, yeah.
People are still in shock, including myself. My family is still in Vancouver. I grew up in Vancouver. My friends are there. So I was also frantically, checking in on everyone that night. Yeah, we're just trying to wrap our heads around it, still questioning why it happened and why it happened to our community during a day that was supposed to be a celebration. Um, I think, like, Filipinos were known for our resilience, but and the ability to face like hard times with a smile. But I think right now, it's okay if that resilience takes a backseat to grief. We're known around the world as caregivers. We're always taking care of other people. I think right now, Filipino Canadians community is just trying to, take care of themselves. Um, yeah, so we're all just we're grieving here.
Well, Isabel, at this point, is there more information already on the suspect, a 30-year-old man named Kaiji Adam Low? Is there a clear picture on his motive, why he did this? Because police did mention he has a history of mental health issues, but it wasn't clear, why he exactly did what he did.
Yeah, so I know as much as you right now. We know that, it's been reported that the suspect has had dozens of run-ins with the police related to his mental health prior to the attack. So, community members are very frustrated with authorities in terms of how they've handled it because they feel that it could have been prevented.
Isabel, there's some frustration that we feel from the Filipino community there about how, well, lenient the authorities have been treating, for instance, the suspect has had many run-ins with the law but was not detained or was let go. What are you hearing from the community there in Canada?
Yeah, like you said, people are frustrated with the system and that the system kind of allowed this to, slip through the cracks. People yesterday at the vigil were calling on governments to, we're holding them accountable and talking about the system that failed to address this suspect's mental health issues and that frankly, it sucks that it was taken out on our community. So yes, the community is quite angry, as they're like with the sadness as well.
Are there groups that maybe be pushing for more action from the government, or perhaps amendments in the law? Or is it too early at this stage? Because, well, what struck us about your piece was that you, Philippine, give time for the community to grieve and, you know, let them air out their sentiments first before, I guess, acting on changes in that they want to happen in government.
Yeah, I would say there's a little bit of both happening. Yeah, again, yesterday at the vigil, a different community groups like Migrante BC or Migrante Toronto and other kind of grassroots organizations were um, the mayor of Toronto was there, and they were, you know, calling on them to do something about it, especially as the summer comes and, you know, more festivals, Filipino festivals here in Toronto even are happening. They're calling on, you know, stricter safety measures, more help from the police. Yeah, so there, in terms of, you know, when it comes to laws, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of things being done in the background, but for now, um, they've a lot of the community groups have said their piece, and I've continued to grieve.
Well, we thank you very much for your time. Toronto-based journalist Isabelle Docto.